coaches, athletes, and sports fans. Coach Michael Fields back. I want to talk about defense now. I've been putting out some offensive stuff lately. Want to talk defense and really look at defensive fronts. You know, what kind of defense are we running? We run in 4-3. We run in a 3-4. Maybe we're a 5 front team. Just some different fronts. So just kind of go over a few of the advantages, disadvantages of two of the more common defenses with the 4-3 versus the 3-4. So, especially if you're a young coach, maybe you're trying to find your identity, maybe this will help you out. Maybe if you're trying to figure out what system works best for you, maybe I can get a few answers to you. If I don't answer that question for you, please reach out to me. Comment, ask your question, shoot me an email, find me on social media. I'd be happy to answer to the best of my ability. I'm going to look at mainly the 4-3. As soon as I remember to put all my linebackers in here. 4-3 and the 3-4, because these are two defenses that I have run as a defensive coordinator, as a head coach, making calls, making adjustments in games. So I'm most familiar with these two defenses, with a little bit of variety in the 3-4 from what I've drawn up here. So basically, in both of these defenses, we've got seven defenders in the box, right? We've either got a mix of 4 linemen with 3 linebackers in the 4-3, or in the 3-4, we're going to have 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers, okay? With the 4-3, there's all kinds of flavors. There's the 4-3 over, the 4-3 under, the balance, you name it. The way we run it, we work in a 3 technique, a 9, a 6, and we call this guy in a minus. This is the defense I currently work with, so I know it the most right now. Mike, Sam, and Will go into the strength based on the run strength call, which we call to the tight end. Pass strength would be to the multiple or more receiver side. Down here in the 3-4, generally you can play, a 3 or a 2. You can play shade with your tackles and nose. The way I have run a 3-4 in the past, we played head up with our TNT, and we actually had our what we call our edge on the line of scrimmage, as well as our Sam played on the line of scrimmage, to where it looked like a 5-2, but it was actually a 3-4, and that the linebackers were on the line of scrimmage, but they had more pass drop responsibilities. Some of the reasons why you may choose a 4-3 or a 3-4, number one could be your players or your personnel. If you have 4 great defensive linemen and those backups behind them, you may go with the 4-3 because you can get at least 4 defensive linemen on the field. Yes, the responsibilities change, but you want your best 11 on the field at all times, particularly at the high school and above level. Really, at middle school level, you probably would too. So you may choose the 4-3 if you got 4 great defensive linemen. If you've got a plethora of linebackers, maybe you got 5, 6 really good linebackers, maybe the 3-4 makes more sense, because now you can get more. You can get 4 of those guys on the field at once, so they can go make plays. So that's one reason. Could be your system, the system that you know, the system you run, the system your coach wants you to run. If you're a DC or a JV or a freshman coach, maybe a middle school coach, running what the high school does. So maybe that system or your identity. I'm a big believer, my head coach and I were just conversing the other day, you have to have an identity as a team. So I'm a 3-4 guy, I'm a 4-3 guy. That identity maybe is part of that, or the system that your program is in. Maybe that's going to help define which of those defenses you run. You may also look at who do you play regularly, who's in your conference, who's in your league, and what offense do they run. What defense is maybe set up better to defend that offense that you're seeing, on a regular basis from those common opponents that you play, year in, year out. We know the 4-3 is better at stopping the whatever offensive system. We know a 3-4 is better at stopping that offensive system. So those can play into part. And then again, the level you play. It could be, your, again, middle school program, junior high program, feeding the high school. Could be your high school program, and that's just what you what you really are into. So that level of play, if you're at the youth level, you can probably mix it up. Sometimes there are rules that dictate at the youth level of how many guys can be in the box and different things like that, and the three-point stance, etc. So know your rules, and that may play into part. So again, in a 4-3, we're looking at 2 interior linemen, 2 defensive ends, and the purpose of the defensive ends generally are contain or force. They're kind of a box player, contain. These guys are typically a one-gap responsibility. Same here, and then your linebackers fill the gap. So typically in the 4-3 we run, our tackle is a B gap, our nose is A gap. Mike has the strong A, Sam's got the C. Our end is out here on contain or box out here, and B gap is covered by the will. So it's a single gap responsibility, generally speaking. We moved down to a 3-4. In the 3-4 I used to run, we were 2 gap responsibility with our TNT and our base package. They were to post up and then read and react to whichever gap the play was going. You can run it as single gap, so perhaps he's got C and he would have B, A, B, C, and outside contain falls on your Sam. So you can go single gap, again, depending on your system. The way I used to run it, our outside backers were up on the line, and so that kind of played a little different. We actually didn't contain. We spilled everything to the outside, and contain was the sideline. So again, it could depend on those responsibilities of what you need your defense to do. What can your players and personnel do may dictate if you're a 1-gap, 2-gap team in the 3-4 look here. So again, Coach Michael Fields just kind of looking at some differences, pros and cons. Some of the cons, with the 3-4 can be that 2-gap responsibility versus a 1-gap. Could be the type of defensive backs that you have as well, and how much pressure you need to get on a quarterback if you're playing a lot of air raid and spread teams. Got to watch that midline inside zone, so these guys can eat up the run. You got the help behind them. Maybe we're ready to go. So again, a lot of factors that go into it. Just trying to cover some of the basic stuff right here today. Again, Coach Michael Fields on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter at Michael K. Fields. Shoot me an email if you want to talk further on this, or pick up some of the material I might be able to share with you. It's Coach Michael Fields at gmail.com. Once again, thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and share. Look forward to next time. Thank you.